Remember what I told you, right? Yeah. What was it? It's called man business. Grown man business. 4 words. That's how 50 Cent silenced an entire family. Offensive. Diss tracks. Leaked FBI. Documents. Grave visits. All of it. Dismissed with a deep fake and a smirk. But what King Harris dug up before that? Silence? That's the part 50 doesn't want you to see. Bloodlines and battle lines. All right. Look, if you thought the rap game couldn't get no more cutthroat in 2026, you wasn't watching what just went down. Between 2 of hip-hop's most strapped up veterans and the next generation that flat out refused to stay on the dog sidelines. Because what jumped off as a simple question: can 50 Cent go bar for? Bar with T.I. on a Viru stage turned into one of the most personal, most grimy, most line-crossing beefs this culture done seen in years. We talking leaked. Federal paperwork. Diss tracks coming. Back to back. Like drum rolls. In a cipher. A dead mama's grave turned into a weapon and a whole family going to war against one of the most feared trolls hip-hop ever produced. And the fallout is still rattling the ground as we speak. It all popped off early February 2026 when T.I. pulled up on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Chad Usinko on February 6th, straight up accusing 50 Cent of ducking a Verzu battle after he already said yes. The way Tip told it, they chopped it up about the whole thing while they was out in LA promoting shows, and it was all love till T.I. took it public. That's when 50 supposedly pulled the plug, ghosted on the whole concept, and left T.I. looking like he got finessed in front of the entire culture. And if you know anything about Clifford Harris, you know that man don't swallow disrespect quietly. He put it on record. 50 just ain't want the smoke. Curtis. Jackson was shook of what a hit for it. Comparison would expose about who really got the deeper catalog. Now, this beef wasn't brand new. They've been going at it since the early 2000s, but the weight on this one hit different because T.I. felt played on a personal level, not just by the refusal, but by how 50 moved behind closed doors. When you tell a man yeah to his face, then yank the rug soon as the cameras start rolling, that cut deeper than any punchline ever could. And just like that, the fuse got lit. What went down between February 7 and February 21 was a slow burn that had the whole internet watching with a jaw on the floor. 50 came back in direct posting, memes and old paperwork, calling T.I. a rat. And in this culture, calling somebody a snitch is basically a death sentence for your credibility. That ain't a word you throw around light. It goes at the very foundation of street authenticity. The whole base, every rapper who claims that life builds they image on, and 50 knew exactly what he was doing when he dusted off them allegations and threw him on a platform with millions of eyes on it. T.I. clapped back on Instagram, letting it be known he wasn't about to let that narrative rock unchecked. Then on February 22nd, T.I. went on $1 million worth of game and said he lost all respect for 50 Cent, calling the whole Verzu flip-flop a sign of weakness, a pattern from a man who'd rather post memes than step in a real ring. This wasn't about catalog, numbers, or streams no more. This was about respect. This was about legacy. This was about who could look the other man dead in the eye and hold that crown without blinking. But it was February 22nd to 23 when the whole thing crossed into territory nobody seen coming. Territory that split the fan base clean, down the middle, and had folks questioning whether any line in rap beef is still sacred. 'Cause 50 Cent posted a foul photo of Tama Tiny Harris, T.I.'s wife and King's mama on Instagram, capping it, "Keep my name out your mouth." Then he followed that with a meme comparing King Harris to Pepe the Frog, clowning the young man's look, including his vitiligo, a skin condition nobody asked for and nobody should be getting roasted for. And right there, every unwritten rule about keeping families out of hip-hop warfare got smashed to pieces. Going at a man's wife, going at his son's skin condition, that ain't trolling no more. That's straight demolition. That's the kind of attack that turns a rap beef into something people carry for the rest of their life. And King Harris, 21 years old, ride or die for his bloodline, went nuclear on Instagram Live with a response so raw, so unfiltered, it sent shockwaves across every platform at the demoralized the same time. You could hear the hurt in his voice. You could see the fury in his face. And you could feel the exact a moment when this young man decided, consequences ain't matter no more. I want to say something about my mama. Your mama, go dig her up. That right there, that's the sound of a young man who just watched a multimillionaire mogul disrespect the woman who raised him in front of the whole world. And King wasn't done. Not even close. He came back with the kind of heat that only comes from real, uncut, unprocessed pain. Go dye her up. Post a picture of your mama. She pay. Respect. Stop playing with my mama. Now that reference telling 50 to dig up? His mom's, that's about Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's mother, who passed in 1984, when Curtis was only 8 years old. King even took it as far as posting a video near her gravesite, a move that split the internet right down the middle, permanently. Some said it was justified. You clown my living mama, so remind you yours ain't here no more. Others called it a line that should never be crossed regardless of circumstances. But King wasn't moving on logic. He was moving on loyalty, on adrenaline, on that protective instinct that don't stop to think about PR, consequences, and when the smoke from that first explosion ain't even clear. Yet, King kept his foot on the gas, making it crystal that this wasn't some internet tantrum that was going to blow over by sunrise. Ain't playing like that. It ain't going like that. No how. Y'all was raised. I'm not raised like that. That declaration, I'm not raised like that. That was King drawing a line between himself and everybody watching, who thought he should have stayed quiet. Out of respect for 50's legacy, he was telling the world that where he from, you don't let nobody breathe on your mama's name and walk away clean. Don't care how many plaques you got on the wall or how many TV deals you sign. I'm not going by my mama. I'm not going. So tell your mama dig her up and post a picture that looked better than my mama. And then King switched up the whole attack. Instead of just matching 50's energy with the same kind of personal shots, he went straight for the jugular, with a psychological angle that clearly hit way different because it wasn't about music, wasn't about bread, wasn't about clout. It was about something 50 Cent can't cop with all the wealth in the world, something no amount of business, moves, or cultural power can replace. Because we going to troll. Straight like that. Your son don't love. You don't got no family. That's a body shot wrapped in a truth that everybody in hip-hop been whispering about for years. 50 Cent's wrecked relationship with his own son, Maris Jackson, the public fallout, the years of back and forth that painted a picture of a man surrounded by bags, but missing the one thing that actually matters. When the cameras cut off and the comments stopped scrolling, you rich but you not love. Money means nothing without no one to spend it with. Your son don't love you. And that's when the beef stopped being about rap and became about real life. Real wounds, real pain. The kind of hurt that don't heal when you log off. King even dug up old family drama involving Maris Jackson, twisting the blade deeper into scars that 50 spent years trying to keep out of the public eye. But King still wasn't done letting the world know exactly where his loyalty sit and why he torched the whole internet to protect his blood, just because he shed the same blood as you. I don't give a man. At the end of the day, that's raw, uncut, no filter rage. No. Publicist signed off on that. No manager. Approved them words. That's a son writing. For his mama with everything he got. Career consequences be forgotten. I don't play by my mama. At the end, I don't play by my mama. I don't play by my grandma. I don't play by neither one of my cousins. And just like that, the first round of what would become one of 2026's most viral beefs was loaded up and locked in. The Harris family drew their line in the prev, sand with permanent ink. But what they ain't know yet was that the real war, the documents, the disses, and the Silence in was only just getting. The paperwork and the follow-end onslaught. By February 23rd to 24, both the sides was all the way in. No turning back, and the battlefield done expanded. From IG live rants into actual recorded music, which in hip-hop is basically signing a declaration of war with your name in blood. See? Social media posts disappear, stories expire, comments get buried under the next wave. But a diss track lives forever on every streaming platform, gets picked up by search engines, and becomes a permanent chapter in your ops biography, whether they like it or not. Both sides understood that math, which is exactly why they hit the studio. T.I. declared war and dropped his first disc, literally, titled War, going at 50 cents past, and putting the whole culture on notice that this wasn't no social media squabble, no, more. It was a full-blown musical assault. And right behind him, King dropped Made Man. Some outlets called it Say Less, where he whooped about 50 SLs to Kanye West and Rick Ross and called him out for bullying women. This wasn't no freestyle recorded on a phone speaker in somebody's living room. This was a produced, mixed, mastered piece of warfare built to live on platforms. Permanently a record that was going to follow 50 Cent's government name every time somebody typed it in a search bar. But T.I. wasn't about to let his son hold that weight alone. He came through with the right one, and then bars went straight at 50's whole persona. The keyboard warrior image, the meme post, and bully who talk crazy from behind a screen but supposedly fold different. When you step to him face to face, that bar, a small man in a big shell. That's Tip telling the world that behind all the muscle, behind all the social media, bravado, behind all them trolling, campaigns that made 50 the undisputed king of internet chaos, there's a man who won't step in a real arena when somebody actually challenge him. That's the kind of lyrical surgery that stick to your name like a tattoo, and Tip ain't stopped there neither. He also dropped Bully where he called 50 a novelty merchant, a reference to some resurfaced intimate product photos that been floating around as ammo in the beef. Then came the twist. Nobody predicted that turned this from a two-man war into a full family blitz. Damani Harris, T.I.'s other son, jumped in with his own disc sampling Outkast's Miss Jackson, going directly at 50's late mother. The whole Harris bloodline was mobilized like a unit, and the message was loud and clear. You come for one of us, you got to answer to all of us. But the biggest bomb ain't even dropped yet. February 25th, 2026. That became the day. Everybody in hip-hop had to pick a side, because that's when King Harris posted what he called the humiliating files. Alleged FBI documents from October 12th, Liang Tianlingzhou, accusing 50 Cent of cooperating with the feds in the murder. Investigation of Gunit affiliate Lelo, Mac Fletcher. According to these docs, 50 allegedly dropped an anonymous tip out of fear of retaliation, pointing investigators at James Jimmy Henchman, Roseman, who was convicted in 2017 for ordering the hit after his son got assaulted. King's caption on the post. Read, I got 21 questions, but just answer this one. So, who was Load Mac? Is this who called my pops a rat with? No black and white. Well, here's yours. Sir. Now, that was a nuclear play. The kind of move that flips an entire beef on its head in one single Instagram post. In a culture where the no snitch code is treated like gospel, where just the accusation of cooperating with law enforcement can get you blackballed from every studio, every stage, every circle that count. Dropping alleged federal paperwork on somebody is the ultimate reputation killer. Don't even matter if the document's real or fake. The moment they hit the timeline, what matter is millions of people seeing them, screenshotting them, forming opinions before anybody got time to fact check a single thing. And that's the genius and the danger of what King did. 50 spent weeks calling T.I. a rat, weaponizing that label to undermine everything Tip built. And now King flipped the whole script. Nah, the real informant is the one who've been pointing the finger this whole time. The hunter became the hunted. But here's where the twist get real interesting and real instructive about how this culture actually operate beneath the surface. Them documents had already been debunked as fabricated back in 2019. TMZ and federal sources already confirmed there. There wasn't no official FBI link tying 50 Cent to being an informant. Henchman's conviction was built on completely separate evidence that ain't have nothing to do with no anonymous tip from Curtis Jackson. Similar accusations from ops like Irv Gotti and French Montana popped up over the years and fizzled out every single time under the slightest scrutiny. So King was basically recycling old ammo that already been examined and thrown out by every credible outlet that bothered to look into it. But the thing about hip-hop is, perceptions stay louder than truth, and time and hit harder than accuracy. Even debunked paperwork can plant seeds of doubt when it land on the timeline at the exact moment millions of emotionally invested fans is choosing sides and looking for any reason to back they position. In a culture that run on reputation, the accusation alone is a weapon, and King swung it like he understood that virality don't need verification, and King made sure to stamp his position in the clearest possible terms, rejecting the whole culture of online trolling that 50 built his second act career on. Not one of them. That's more my soul. I don't give a how y'all think living. I don't give a y'all think. That right there, a young man telling millions of viewers he don't care how the internet operate, don't care about the unwritten rules of online engagement was the clearest signal yet that King wasn't playing by the rules of internet beef. He was playing by street rules, family rules, rules that don't care about follower counts or blue checks. I don't play by it. That's just how I'm raised. I'm just how I'm raised. So by the time that paperwork was circulating across every major hip-hop outlet and every timeline in the country, the question on everybody's mind was one and the same. What's 50 Cent going to do now? 'Cause let's keep it a buck. This was uncharted territory for Curtis Jackson, the man who built an empire off trolling, who turned internet warfare into an art form that arguably made him more relevant in 2026 than he was at the peak of his music run, who ain't never once into full decades of public beefs with some of the biggest names in the industry, been put on the back foot like this by somebody half his age with a fraction of his resources and nothing to lose. The disses was stacking. The paperwork was spreading. The family offensive showed zero signs of slowing down. Would he escalate past memes and actually hit the booth? Would he fire back with something even more devastating from his own stash? Or would the weight of King's offensive finally push him towards something that nobody in the history of this beef, or maybe 50 Cent's entire public career, ever expected to see? The silence and the aftermath. And that's exactly where the whole saga took its wildest turn. 'Cause on February 26th to 27, 50 Cent, the man who made a whole career out of never backing down, never deleting, never apologizing, wiped every single feud-related post off his Instagram page, every meme he crafted, every piece of paperwork he posted about T.I., every shot he fired at King gone, scrubbed clean like it never existed. And in they place, he dropped a message that read, "You guys hurt my feelings. I'm out of here." Now, on the surface, that read like classic 50 Cent sarcasm, the kind of slick deflection he'd been mastering for decades. But underneath the joke, something in the dynamic had clearly shifted. The troll king blinked, or at least that's what it looked like. T.Y. dropped lessons, his fourth disc in this war, posting it over a photo of 50, with an intimate novelty item. 4. Recorded tracks in roughly 1 week. That's an output that would impress anybody at any stage of their career, let alone somebody who'd been in the game as long as Tip. And King ain't let up neither. He kept pulling up old allegations from 50's former partners, including arson claims and assault footage, building a whole arsenal of Ammo designed to keep 50 under pressure. Indefinitely. Drip-feeding controversy. Like a faucet that won't cut off. But 50's response, the one that really showed how he planned to handle this whole situation moving forward, came in a form nobody could have predicted. Instead of matching the Harris family's intensity, instead of escalating with his own disses or more personal attacks, 50 posted an AI-edited clip from the movie, ATL with his own face deep-faked into. The scene aimed directly at King Harris. And the message sitting inside that clip told you everything about 50's strategy. What's up? Ain't heard from you in a while. Where you been? That casual, almost dismissive energy using a deep fake clip from a movie that literally starred T.I. himself. That was 50, telling King and the entire Harris family that he don't even view this as a war between equals. He treating the whole thing like a minor inconvenience, a brief interruption in his regularly scheduled program of stacking bags and closing deals. I'm cool. Man, I'm cool. It's just taking me a minute, that's all. And that line, it's just taken me a minute, that carry a double meaning that only become clear when you peep how 50 been moving through this whole situation. On one hand, he acknowledging that the shots landed, that the mentions of his moms got under his skin in a way most beefs never do. That King's relentless campaign forced him to actually pause and recalibrate his whole approach. But on the flip side, he's signaling that this pause is temporary, calculated, not a surrender, but a repositioning. Well, I was straight everything out as soon as I get that money. Remember what I told you, right? Yeah. And then came the 4 words that served as 50 Cent's final verdict on King Harris's entire involvement in this conflict. The words that sealed the lid on any idea that 50 saw this young man as a legit adversary worth engaging with on equal ground. What? It's grown man business. Grown man business. That's 50 telling a 1-year-old he don't belong in this arena. That no matter how many IG live, rants he go on, no matter how many debunked documents he resurfaced, no matter how many diss tracks the Harris family drop as a unit, in 50's eyes, King's still a young who wandered into a room full of grown folks and don't realize he's swimming in waters way too deep for him. And that dismissal, that's arguably more devastating than any direct attack could have been, because it denied King the one thing he was fighting hardest for, acknowledgement as a real threat worthy of a real response. Now, the broader reaction to all this, been straight chaos across every corner of the culture, with allegiances flipping and old grudges resurfacing like ghosts that refuse to stay buried. Rick Ross openly rode with King Harris, begging for a savage t-shirt clowning 50's moms, and that tell you everything about where the old rivalries still cut deep and how quick vets will jump into somebody else's war if it means scoring points on an old enemy. Ross and 50 got their own history of beef stretching back over a little decade. So this was less about supporting King and more about seizing an opportunity to twist the knife while somebody else already holding it. Charleston White broke his silence to call out the hypocrisy on both sides, pointing out how the same culture that celebrate trolling and disrespect suddenly want to draw moral boundaries when the flames get too close to home. Meanwhile, vets like Jim Jones tried to stay neutral, but the gravitational pull of this beef kept dragging old wars back into the spotlight. Whether people wanted the smoke or not, the fan reaction was split clean down the FOD. Middle. One side praised King for riding for his mama with everything he had, saying 50 threw the first rock by target, and tiny and deserved every single thing that came back at him. The other side said King committed career self-destruction by disrespecting a dead woman's resting place, saying no amount of provocation justified crossing that line, no matter who started what or how deep the original disrespect went. And then there's the moment that really show how far this whole thing spiraled past the boundaries of hip-hop. The beef went so viral that actual police departments caught calls from concerned fans forcing officers to post publicly that no, they was not about to intervene in no rap beef when law enforcement got to put out official statements clarifying they ain't stepping into an Instagram war between rappers. You know, the situation. Done. Transcended the culture and hit mainstream consciousness in a way nobody involved saw coming. As for them, humiliating files, the alleged FBI docs, King posted as his supposed knockout punch. The reality is they expose something way more interesting than any one person's cooperation with authorities. They expose the toxicity of hip-hop's no-snitch code itself. A cultural code that puts silence over safety that treat working with law enforcement as a moral failure even when lives on the line, and that can get weaponized with fabricated evidence to destroy reputations regardless of truth. Folks across social media was quick to point out the danger. Posting fake paperwork in this culture ain't just reckless, it's potentially fatal for both credibility and physical safety. So, where this leave everybody as of right? Now, no apologies been issued from either side. King Dunn publicly declared, he just getting started, signaling his clip ain't empty yet. 50S camp, his affiliates, the Gunnet Circle, the whole network of soldiers he cultivated over 2 decades stayed strategically quiet, letting that AI clip, and them 3. Words do all the talking. T.I. got 4. Disses on record and ain't showing no signs of falling back. The leaked documents sit debunked, but still circulating, doing they damage in the court of public opinion, even though they get tossed out of any real courtroom. And the culture left sitting with the same questions it always got to wrestle with after these eruptions. Where the lines at? Who get to draw them? And what happened when somebody with nothing to lose cross every single one? 50 silence. In the aftermath, the deleted posts, the sarcastic farewell, the grown man, business dismissal. That might be the most calculated play of this entire saga. Because in a war where King Harris brought the noise, the documents, the family offensive, and the viral moments, 50 Cent responded with something more effective than any diss track or meme or leaked document could ever be. He hit back with the one thing that drive a young man desperate for recognition. Absolutely crazy. Indifference. And in hip-hop, sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you never say at all. If you enjoyed this video, click on any of the cards on your screen.